Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Life Reassembled. Today we're going to be tackling the issues of the everyday life. We're going to be going deep into this conversation today. Now, there's going to be lots of different areas of our lives that need to be reassembled. However, we're going to talk about the overall strategies and how to accomplish them that is practical to your season and how to really apply them as your seasons change. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Welcome to Life Reassembled. This is the podcast where we learn how to reassemble our lives. I'm Julie Renee. I'm a life coach specializing in trauma recovery and a speaker. Together, we're going to be exploring what it really means to reassemble our lives on the rock after we've spent our entire lives piecing it together on sand. Here, we're going to talk about healing the mind, renewing the spirit, and organizing the parts of our lives that were once overwhelmed by complete chaos. Each episode is a space for reflection, faith, and practical steps for living with peace and intention. So, take a deep breath with me, settle in with some warm coffee, and let's begin reassembling our lives, piece by piece, together. So, as you guys can imagine, there's lots of information out there in regards to, if you just do this, then your life will be perfect. And if you do this, then you don't have to worry about anything anymore. While all the information out there is really good, it's tried and true, it's been tested, that's why there's so much information about it. Today we're going to be tackling the more realistic versions of that and how to slowly apply that into your life, because these things are fantastic, having systems in place, having your life organized. But you know what? Life changes constantly. And if you're not having the same routine every single day, it can be difficult to create a sense of order. If you have a night shift job and you sleep during the day because that's what's best for your body to accommodate being well rested when you go back to work, you're not going to have a morning routine. You're not going to be able to get the first glimpse of sunlight right when you wake up, unless that's when you get home. So it really depends on your unique situation, your unique circumstances. And so how can we really dive into the systems that will work for you? There's lots of different options out there for a good reason, because everyone has a different way of having their lives organized. Now, my thing is you have to try and you have to be flexible, because sometimes certain things work in certain seasons and sometimes they don't. And that's a really good key piece that's missing in a lot of these videos, a lot of these programs, because life does change. And if you think about it, there's times that Moses had his staff and there's times that he didn't have his staff. And there's a reason why he had it. Now, there was a time when he had to throw his staff down and it turned into a snake. That wasn't an everyday occurrence, but he had it ready to go. And the Lord's like, boom, throw down your staff. And he did. And there was a reason behind it. So we have to be aware that there are certain tools that we need at certain times, and we have to be okay with letting them go. There is this overconsumption, hoarding of a sorts, that we have gotten accustomed to, especially in the Western society. This is very common because this is what we are learning. This is what we have trained ourselves to become. This is a consumer-rich world. And it's easier to consume than it is to create. It's easier to take the easy way, to go through the drive-through line, to consume content, whatever the case may be. It's always easier to consume than it is to create or to give. And by doing so, we can inadvertently create systems that we're not even aware of that are hindering our success. They're hindering our way forward. They're putting limitations on how we can become more organized as we go. So this is why I like to start small, because if you do too much too soon, you're going to get burnt out. And this is very common. We've all probably done this at some time or another, especially when it comes to diet. We have this great idea, we want to be on a diet, and we do a lot of research and we change this, we throw out all the junk in our fridge, And then come to find out within a very short amount of time, we're just back to our baseline, back to the normal, back to what's comfortable, back to like, well, I'll try again next month, or I'll try again at New Year's, and it doesn't stick. So how do we do this? How do we ensure that we are constantly setting ourselves up for success as we continue in each season of our life? How do we ensure that we have the tools that we need for each season? And what can we let go of? And we have to acknowledge what no longer serves us moving forward. Now, this will be different for every person involved, so I can just only give examples. But if you want to work with me one-on-one with private reconstruction of your particular life, like, let's do it. And let's figure out how we can structure it that works for your season, because again, everyone has a different season. Everyone's too busy. And we all want a simpler life. And yet, as we continue down this path, especially if you live in this city, it's just busy. It's busy in the streets. It's busy day to day. There's so much noise. There's so much distractions. There's so much to consume, and it's never enough. And that's like the whole illusion, that there's never enough. But you hear of these stories of people who have become successful, who have it all, who have all the money, who have all the access to drugs and alcohol and fornication and all these things that you are told will make your life better. We're told will make your life happy. But time and time and time and time again, these people are very real and vulnerable with like, I'm not happy. I'm so empty. I have everything I could ever think or imagine, and I'm empty. So as we move forward, we need to keep in mind that the only fulfillment that we can really truly have is in Christ Jesus, because it is never boring and it is never ending. And there's more there to have and behold. And within that relationship with Jesus Christ, we can always be satisfied, no matter what our outside circumstances pertain, whether we have money or we're successful or we're not. If we have a relationship with God, we're fulfilled. So keeping that in mind, we can move forward with reorganizing our lives properly, because our foundation is set properly. The foundational course that we have dives into this, making sure that with the identity blueprint, we've worked on our soil, making sure that our soil is good, figuring out where we're at currently. The foundational course is all about being stabilized on the rock, setting our lives properly from the beginning before we can move forward. If we want to succeed and we want to get into these places that are higher than us, that are out of our reach currently, we have to make sure that we are stable on the foundational portion of it, so that we can move properly upwards. So throughout the podcast, we've been talking about healthy routines, right? How to eat better, how to sleep better, getting outside for some sunshine, just reassembling our lives in these small bits and pieces. And it still holds true to this day. Starting small, starting with what's the most relevant, really focusing on your health, because if you're focused on your physical health as well as your mental health, like everything else is going to be so secondary to what you really need to do. Now, I understand, especially if you're starting over or you're coming out of a very abusive relationship, a toxic relationship of any kind, there's a lot of things there. There's a lot of things to work through, and life doesn't just stop and wait for you to get better. And so we have to create healthy routines and healthy systems to keep our bodies and our minds focused on moving forward properly. And then by doing so, we can more easily take care of all the other things that go with it. And so give yourself grace in regards to what you cannot get done every day. There's so many great things that we can do, and sometimes we just run out of time. Sometimes things change and you're running late or whatever the case may be. And so sometimes you have to give yourself sometimes you do need to give yourself a break. Now, if you're like me, where you're not a big scroller, like I'm not a big person on scrolling, it's very far and few between when I actually scroll. So listening to these videos, which again are fantastic, and these podcasts are fantastic about your time and time blocks and things of that nature, and gaining back more time, a lot of focus is on scrolling and social media consumption or watching movies or things of that nature, which is really good advice. And I believe in that. But if you're like me, where you're like, that's not a big part of your life, that's such a small percentage of your life, if at all. And you're like, okay, but I'm still not finding enough time to do everything I want to do in one day. So I'm talking to those people. Like, obviously, if you're on your phone too much, just get off your phone, like, and use that time for something that's more productive, something that's going to get you ahead. But if you've already done that and you're like still finding yourself struggling for your time, I got you. The best thing to do, honestly, is not only time blocking, which is so valuable, and I completely agree with it. And time blocking, real quick, is just setting out as time. This is the start time, this is the end time, and nothing else goes into that time block except what you have already designated it for. Now, we do this, let's just use scrolling as an example. We do this all the time with other things. Now, we might not have an end time. We just start scrolling on our phone, like, oh, I just need like a mental break for a few minutes. And then it's like 2 hours later. That's time blocking. It was by accident, and you didn't have a time start and time finish. Utilizing time blocks for other things. Now, of course, if there's other things that come up that are more important, like, oh, hey, there's an emergency. Oh, hey, your house is on fire. Probably should take care of that. I would definitely stop what you're doing to take care of the house fire. But you guys understand what I'm saying, right? Like, this is the priority, and only emergencies can interrupt that priority. And it's not always going to be perfect. Even those who are successful and they had the time blocks and they stack things on top of each other, and we'll talk about that next. Life's not always perfect. It's not always going to be exactly from 8 to 10, I'm doing this, from 9 to 11, whatever the case may be. It's not always going to be perfect. So first, before you even create your time blocks, give yourself grace, be intentional about it, and start working towards those goals. And you alone will see so much progression in that, in whatever goals you have. Take our course, Create a Mission, if you're so interested in figuring out how to do that in more specific detail. But at the same time, do not waste time and energy when it doesn't go exactly according to plan, because that you don't have time for. You just readjust it. Go, oh, okay, this interrupted that. I still need to finish this project over here, or I need to do this over here, or hey, I need to leave over there. Things are going to interrupt it all the time. And so knowing that ahead of time, which is not talked about enough, because I don't think they want to give you permission to let things slip in the cracks. And that's not what I'm doing. I'm saying, like, you have to be okay with life interrupting your plans. The best way to think about this is always do your plan B, but when plan A comes into reality, like God interrupting or a family matter interrupting, that is an emergency, not a drama situation that can be handled later, then that becomes plan A. So if you think about it, you're always going to be doing plan B. That way, when plan A interrupts your plan B, you're ready for it. And it will save you so much anxiety. It'll save you so much stress, so much unknown. You're not going to beat yourself up. Like, don't give opportunities for you to be condemning yourself and cursing yourself. We talked about that a few weeks back as well. So give yourself grace ahead of time before you start, but then be intentional about these time blocks and be flexible with when they need to move. People reschedule. Maybe you need to reschedule, but set times, have that as your intention. And that will save you a lot. in regards to getting your season organized. Okay. Stacking is the best thing ever. I have been inadvertently doing this for a long time. I think that's what's helping me stay organized, is you try to do similar tasks near the same time. That's just one definition of it. Or you can do multitasking, which is be careful what multitasking is, depending on what it is. You cannot do, your brain cannot think of two separate things at the same time. You will waste energy going back and forth too much. So a good way of multitasking that is technically stacking is washing the dishes while listening to a podcast. You're doing two things at the same time, but they're two different things, but they go together, because washing the dishes, especially if you've been doing it for a while or you're not brand new to it, you don't have to think about what you're doing anymore. But it's a great way to educate yourself or to listen to a story or whatever the case may be, instead of watching TV, instead of listening to music, unless that's what you're in the mood for. I'm all about listening to music when it's the right time. But some people, that's all they do. They just listen to music, and the music is not encouraging, it's not uplifting, it's just not good music for your soul. So I highly discourage that unless you need that in the moment. And I get that. There's a time and a place where you're like, hey, I just need to listen to this angry music. Awesome. But do you guys understand what I'm saying, right? Like, our goal is to better our lives and to listen to things that are going to give us, speak life into us. Or doing it with, or having a friend over and having coffee and you're doing dishes. Well, that's a big part of it. If you want to have a social life, but you just have no time because you're working 2 jobs and you just have a lot going on, like, that's understandable. So maybe going out and having a coffee for an hour is a luxury. Maybe you don't have the extra finances for that. Great. You know what? If they're your friend, invite them over, have coffee at your house, and then let them know ahead of time, hey, would you be cool if I do a little bit of housework while we talk? Because you can get the dishes done, you can get the laundry done while you're having a conversation, and kind of rest in between as you need to. It's a great way to stack things that need to get done and your responsibilities and your priorities. That's really what's key. And being able to do other things that are important to you as well. We want to make sure that in every season that we are in, that we're not letting our responsibilities die, and we're also not letting the things that we hold value to us die as well. So yes, your life can be busy. Yes, your life can be chaotic, especially in certain seasons more than others. Don't wait to take care of yourself. Don't put it off. Don't wait to go see your friend who needs you in that moment because one of their parents just died. Like, oh, I'm too busy to come and see you right now. Like, no, make a way, find a way. I love this story about this woman. It's a true story. It's really sad, but it's such a good analogy that she was working full time and had a lot going on in her day-to-day. And she was like, oh my gosh, I can't make any room for my priorities. I have no room for my goals. I just have to wait. And then her basement flooded. Obviously, like, that just was a horrible thing that happened. And she was like, oh my goodness, now I have to go get a plumber and I have to do this, I do that. And so she made room in her schedule to remove the items that were in the basement that she could save, and she got them out. She was able to get a plumber in there and get the situation handled and reduce the water damage and get her basement back into order. Now, that was an emergency that came up, but she made time for it. And her business didn't suffer. Her family life didn't suffer. She was able to take on an additional project that she was not planning for because it became a priority in her life. So what priorities in your life are you ignoring or putting aside because of the busyness? Or, hey, this is not the right time. And maybe it's not the right time. I'm not trying to push you or pressure you or put this extra strain on you. Sometimes it's just not the right season. I have all these great ideas that I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love that. But I noticed that when I try to move forward in it, there's like this, I'm trying to explain it correctly. It's not that I'm not trying. It's more of like, you know what? This doesn't feel like it's the right season. I'm making the effort. I'm putting it into motion, but it's like, not the right time, not yet. So I let it simmer. I put it in the back burner, but it's always there, ready to pounce when it's ready, when it's needs to be taken care of. And I realized, like, okay, so that's all about organizing your priorities. What needs to be on the front burner? What needs to be on the back burner? What do you need to take out of the pantry? What do you need to put back in? But there's definitely a time and a place. And if you're just coming out of toxicity, if you're coming out of a season where you're just like, you just came out of survival, or you're feeling you're still in survival, taking on new projects is the last thing you need to do right now. Do not burden yourself with all this wonderful things that are like definitely there for you. But if you take them on too soon, you're going to burn out. You're going to go back to your old ways, and it's going to be a horrible process. And you're giving yourself permission to fail. You're giving yourself permission to beat yourself up and do the woe is me cycle all over again. You have to take your time. You have to do one slow change at a time. It's the best way to move forward. It's just 1% better. And you're always going to be working on it. Even those who are very healthy, who exercise, who eat well, they're always looking for ways to make themselves 1% healthier every single day. And they have times of rest. And they have times where they're able to eat something that's not necessarily on their menu, if that's what they choose to do. But it's not a consistency. It's not a battle for them, because they have trained in themselves that discipline. It is possible to do this with your life. It is possible to organize your life. And we can get easily caught up in the Instagram life. Wow, this looks so beautiful. Like, wow, they've made it. And like, wow, their lives are so perfect. But it is very evident that that's not always what it looks like. We need to stop comparing ourselves to what we think other people's lives are like. Those who we admire the most usually didn't just wake up one day and have it all put together. And you guys, they still don't have it put together. It's just better than what you think it is. It's better than what your life is right now, and that you can acquire to where they're at. But they worked hard. Those who are honest about how hard it was. And my favorite people to listen to are the ones who started with nothing, who had nothing, whose cars were breaking down, whose waters were turned off, who didn't have places to live. Like, these stories are inspiring, and they're real and authentic, and they show you, like, hey, it is possible for those who have nothing to gain. And the majority of them have their hearts aligned correctly with our Creator. And there's a system and order to do certain things in order to become successful in the way that you would like to become, to be a better version of yourself, to reassemble your lives in a way where it's organized and it's put together and you're able to breathe. 1 Corinthians 14 talks about how there's a certain order to things, how everything should be done in a fitting order. Now, if you want to take care of other people, that's fantastic. But if you're not taking care of yourself, you're out of order. If you want to have the most amazing beach body, but you're eating horribly and never exercising, you're out of order. There's a system in place. There's a cause and effect. There's a do this, then this will happen. And a lot of the times we're just very impatient to see the results that we are putting so much effort into. And we will give up too soon on certain things. Now, there's certain things that we should give up on. If you want to have an organized life, Stop looking too far ahead. Look at your current situation. Figure out what needs to go and what needs to stay and what do you need in this season. Everything else is put off to the side. Just plain, simple, black and white, the best way to get going. And if you need help in this, take the foundational course. It's a great way to really dive into how to make that happen, how to be strong. Because if you build too soon, too quick in the wrong areas, your house will fall down. We talk about building on the rock, building on Jesus, building everything from that place, because it is told to us in the Bible, when the storms came and the wind blew, that the house remained. It was shaken, I'm sure, but overall it stood still. It stayed strong. Because life will have storms. Life will have wind to come and blow it. Even just take the example of the 3 little pigs, the same situation happened. The one who built on straw, it fell down. The one who built on brick stayed strong. It's the same principles. Don't build your life on sand anymore. You most likely are here because you have built on sand in some area of your life. Maybe not in every area, but some areas you've definitely built on sand. And the wind came, the storms came, and boom, you're just like, whoa, what is going on? How do I get out of this and get back up again? Don't be surprised by the storms coming. Be prepared for the storms that are here, that are going to come. And just because your thoughts say like, oh, you don't need to worry about this, and oh, it's so in the future, and blah, 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 blah. You never know when it's going to come. And just like the virgins who had the oil lamps, there was 5 that were ready, who had extra oil. They were ready. They were prepared. 5 didn't, and they went out and they had to buy more. And it was at that time their groom came to get them, and they were not ready. There's stories and real life situations in your testimony. And you know this. Like, this is not anything like, wow, yeah, that makes sense, right? Great, fantastic. Then why aren't you preparing for it? How come you're not making the steps towards that? And that's just to convict you in the right direction, whether it's through our courses or it's through just your own getting out a piece of paper and like starting to write things down. Like, whatever is going to work for you in your current circumstance. So the best way to, I'm going to end with the best way to organize your life is to remove what does not need to be removed, because it's holding you back. It's keeping your life heavier than it needs to. Figure out what stays and what do you need to acquire in this season, not in the season too far out. Write it down, write the idea down. Be ready for it, but don't put effort into something that's not there yet, because that is also going to squash your hope. And we all need hope for the future. So write that idea down. Declare it. Pray in faith for it. Absolutely. But work on your current season. How to make the best out of your current situation. How to get rid of debt. How to add assets. Get rid of your liabilities. Add assets in every area of your life. What are you going to currently focus on? What are you going to currently wait on? What are you currently going to get rid of? Life is moving too fast, and we cannot keep up with it. So stop trying to chase the wind. Stop trying to go after the things that do not matter in your life anymore. Set your priorities straight. Get it all on the right path. Walk in the faith. And I know that sounds like a lot of cliches all at once. I'm not trying to make it sound like that, but take the value of each one that works for your situation. Like, there's value somewhere in there for you guys. You know what I'm saying? because they're not cliches. This is real. These are all things that I've done. These are all things that I've used to organize my life, to help others organize their life. And if there's anything else that you guys have done or have seen that I haven't mentioned, leave it in the comments below. I would love to hear about it. I'm always gathering more information. I'm always learning new ideas and new tactics that I've never heard about. I would love to try a certain thing, see if it works for me, see if it works for my clients. I would love to hear from you guys in regards to like what's working for you, what doesn't work for you. And through all of this, I'm not telling you guys not to enjoy life and to relax. No, that's like the opposite. Make sure that's somewhere in there. If spending time with your friends is valuable to you, don't let that consume your entire life, but make sure you make time for them and make it work for your season. And if they're your friends, they'll understand. They'll always be there. Your true friends will always be there. And we talked about that recently. And this actually goes into being a friend to yourself, making the priorities right in your life. Don't put it off because you want to consume that extra TV show. Don't put it off because you want to consume that extra bowl of ice cream. Like, don't put off your goals and your dreams. Don't work so hard on the temporary satisfaction that you miss the long-term fulfillment that's waiting for you. You have to just step into that. If you guys need help at all figuring this out, putting together a game plan, go check out the foundational program, the course that we have right now. Links in the description. Love to get you started with how to really go from there. It gets you right on the right path, and it really helps getting you to where you need to be to move forward properly. So with the course, we go over every area of your life, all the major areas of your life, and is building a stronger foundation in these areas. We do faith-based teaching. There's places where you're going to be able to journal and write out through the questions. And I was very careful about the questions that I asked. And its goal is to strengthen your mental and emotional well-being. That way you can take the next steps forward in whatever calling that the Lord has upon your life. So I'll check that out. It's a great way to really get your foundation strong. And if your soil underneath that foundation is still kind of rocky, you don't know where you're at right now, then honestly, I would take a step back further and start with our identity blueprint. That's a great way to see, okay, where is my soil at? What's going on with the dirt underneath my house? Like, where am I at currently? Where do I want to go? And it's a great way to properly analyze just your current situation about yourself more than anything else, and getting that situated first so you can build upon that properly. So depending on where you're at in your season, I encourage you guys to go check those out. The links are in the description, of course. And let me know if you guys need anything. Love to hear from you. Talk to you next week. Thank you for joining us for today's conversation on Life Reassembled. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who is also rebuilding their life, because none of us are meant to do this alone. To keep growing with us, join us on the Life Reassembled Facebook community. Check out our free identity blueprint on our website, or learn more about our coaching and upcoming courses at reassembledlife.com. That's re-assembledlife.com. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Life Reassembled for daily encouragement and resources. Remember that healing doesn't happen overnight, but every small step forward is part of reassembling your life.